They say legends are born, not made. But what if one of the greatest athletes the world has ever known nearly lost his chance before his story even began? Cristiano Ronaldo, known worldwide as a relentless competitor, was once a young boy with a fragile heart, facing a medical battle that could have ended his dream. This isn't just a story about talent or hard work. It's about how, at the brink of losing everything, Cristiano defied the odds, transforming what could have been his greatest setback into the fuel that propelled him to global greatness. Cristiano Ronaldo was just a child from Madeira, a small island off Portugal's coast, when he first dreamed of greatness. Growing up in a modest family, Cristiano didn't have much. His father worked as a gardener, and his mother was a cook, each making sacrifices to keep the family afloat. Yet, despite their hardships, they shared one unwavering support: Cristiano's passion for soccer. From a young age, Cristiano's life revolved around the game. When he wasn't at school or helping his mother, he was playing soccer on the streets, dodging pebbles and stones as if they were defenders. He played with relentless energy, kicking an old ball, scraping his knees, and drenching himself in sweat, all for the thrill of the game. By age 8, he had joined a local club, Andorinha, and it became apparent to everyone around him, this boy had something special. As Cristiano's skills grew, so did his ambition. The local coaches marveled at his dedication and raw talent, but they knew Madeira couldn't contain him for long. His father would often stand on the sidelines, beaming with pride as Cristiano outplayed boys twice his size. Ronaldo dreamed of making it big, not just for himself, but to lift his family out of poverty, to show that a kid from Madeira could reach unimaginable heights. At just 12, Cristiano faced his first major challenge. He was invited to join the Sporting CP Academy in Lisbon, but it meant leaving behind his family, his friends, and everything he had ever known. As he boarded the plane to the mainland, Cristiano's heart pounded with both fear and excitement. His family gave him their blessings, his mother holding back tears, knowing her youngest son was chasing his dream, but feeling the emptiness of his absence. Despite the sacrifice, Cristiano pushed forward, determined to make his family proud. In Lisbon, life was different. The city was fast-paced, and Cristiano had to adapt quickly. At Sporting CP, he was no longer the standout player, but one of many talented hopefuls. Yet, he trained harder than anyone, determined to prove that he belonged there. The coaches noticed his fierce drive and spirit, but even they couldn't anticipate what would come next. Then, at 15, just when Cristiano was reaching his peak potential, something terrifying happened. During practice, he felt his heart racing uncontrollably, even when he wasn't running. At first, he ignored it, chalking it up to nerves or overexertion. But the episodes continued, each one more intense than the last. His chest would tighten, his breaths would come in shallow gasps, and a strange numbness would spread through his arms. One day, after a particularly severe episode, his coach insisted he see a doctor. The diagnosis was worse than anyone expected. The doctors discovered that Cristiano had a racing heart condition, a potentially life-threatening problem. This wasn't just a minor inconvenience. It could stop his career before it even began. As he sat in the doctor's office, the gravity of the situation set in. He was just a teenager, with his entire life ahead of him, yet suddenly his dream was slipping through his fingers. The doctors recommended surgery. It was a difficult decision, and there were no guarantees. The procedure could stabilize his heartbeat, but there was also a chance it would prevent him from playing soccer ever again. Cristiano's mind raced. He had left his family, endured the pain of separation, all for this dream. How could he lose it now? The news hit his family hard. His mother cried, fearing for her son's life and well-being, torn between wanting him to follow his dream and the primal instinct to protect him. His father, usually a stoic figure, was visibly shaken. But Cristiano had made up his mind. With the resolve of someone far older than his years, he told his family, "I want the surgery. I want to play soccer. I can't give up." The morning of Cristiano Ronaldo's surgery arrived far too soon. His family traveled to Lisbon, gathering around him in the sterile white room of the hospital. The air was heavy with both worry and hope. Cristiano tried to mask his fear, but his youthful face betrayed him. He was only 15, a boy with big dreams and a heart that wasn't cooperating. Despite the anxiety tightening his chest, he tried to reassure his mother, his soft voice full of bravery. "I'm going to be okay, Mom. I'll be back on the field in no time." When the doctors came to take him to the operating room, his family held back tears. His mother hugged him tightly, whispering a prayer in his ear, and his father gave him a firm nod of encouragement, his eyes red. For the first time, Cristiano felt the fragility of his dream. It was no longer just a matter of talent or hard work. His life itself was at stake. As the medical team prepared to operate, Cristiano's thoughts lingered on the field, imagining the roar of the crowd, the weight of the ball at his feet, the smell of the grass. His heart raced again, but this time it wasn't the condition, it was fear. He forced himself to remember why he was doing this. He wasn't just a boy chasing a fantasy. He was a fighter who had sacrificed everything to play soccer, and he wasn't about to let it slip away. Hours later, the surgery was over. The doctors assured his family it had gone well, but it would take time before they could say for sure if he'd be able to play again. Cristiano woke up groggy and disoriented, the room blurring in and out of focus. His chest felt strange, as if his heartbeat itself had changed. He blinked through the haze, seeing his family's relieved faces around him. The first thing he asked, his voice barely a whisper, was, "When can I play again?" The days that followed were some of the hardest of his life. Cristiano was used to pushing himself to the limit, but this was different. His body felt weak, his heart still unpredictable. He felt trapped, as if he were imprisoned by his own limitations. Every small step was a reminder of how far he was from the field, from the life he'd sacrificed so much for. But Cristiano's determination only grew stronger. He began working through recovery with a focus that shocked even his doctors. He approached every exercise with the same intensity he would on the field, visualizing each movement as if it were a step closer to his dream. He could see his mother's worried eyes watching him, but he met her gaze with quiet assurance, showing her that he wasn't giving up. The mental battle was as tough as the physical one. He had always been strong, but this was a different kind of strength, a resilience that went beyond muscles and speed. In those weeks of recovery, Cristiano transformed, shifting from a boy who loved soccer to a young man who was willing to risk everything for it. The thought of never playing again haunted him, but he used that fear as fuel. Every day, he imagined himself back on the field, outplaying opponents, scoring goals, and proving that nothing could hold him back. Then, one day, he received the news he'd been waiting for. The doctors gave him the green light to start training again, cautiously at first, with limits he had to respect. Cristiano could barely contain his excitement. His family tried to hold him back, warning him to take it slow, but he had waited too long. The moment he set foot on the field, he felt a surge of joy and relief. He was back where he belonged. The first few weeks were tough. His body felt strange, his heartbeat steady yet unfamiliar. He struggled with moves that used to be effortless, feeling as though his body had forgotten how to play. But Cristiano wasn't about to give up. Day after day, he pushed himself harder, determined to regain his strength and skill. It wasn't long before his coaches noticed a difference. Cristiano wasn't just playing to win, he was playing with a hunger that few players his age possessed. His near loss had ignited something fierce within him, a fire that would drive him to surpass even his own expectations. This heart condition, The obstacle that could have ended everything had instead given him a new strength, a relentless focus. By the time he was fully back, Cristiano was no longer just a promising talent. He was a force. Every game, every goal, every sprint reminded him of how close he had come to losing it all. And each time he stepped onto the field, he knew he was proving to himself and to the world that no setback, not even one as serious as a heart condition, could keep him from reaching his destiny. With the surgery behind him and his heart beating strong, Cristiano Ronaldo returned to the field with a new level of drive. Gone was the young boy who played merely to win. Now he was a young man who played to conquer every challenge in his path. Every training session was another chance to prove himself. Every match another reminder of what he'd overcome. People around him began to notice a change. There was an intensity in Cristiano's gaze, a determination that went beyond ambition. It was as though his near loss had sharpened his focus, giving him an edge no other player had. He had tasted fear, he had faced the possibility of his dreams being ripped away, and now he played each game like it might be his last. To him, it wasn't just a match, it was a testament to his survival, a showcase of his unbreakable spirit. As he rose through the ranks at Sporting CP, word of his talent spread like wildfire. He was unstoppable, defying odds with his blistering speed, quick footwork, and almost supernatural control of the ball. The coaches marveled at his resilience, not just his skills. They saw a young man who was both fierce and focused, someone who didn't allow himself to be defeated, even in the face of what would break others. Cristiano's big break came sooner than anyone expected. At just 17, during a friendly match between Sporting and Manchester United, he put on a display that left even seasoned professionals in awe. He darted through defenders as if they were standing still, leaving them scrambling to catch up. His performance was so electric that after the game, Manchester United's legendary manager, Sir Alex Ferguson, knew he had to bring this young prodigy to England. When Cristiano signed with Manchester United, he was filled with equal parts excitement and fear. He was about to step onto one of the biggest stages in soccer, in a foreign country where millions would be watching his every move. But instead of letting the pressure overwhelm him, he channeled it. He thought back to that hospital room, to the moments when his dreams teetered on the edge of collapse. If he could survive that, he could handle anything. Life in England wasn't easy. Cristiano had to adapt to a new language, a new culture, and the brutal English weather. He trained harder than ever, spending hours perfecting his skills, studying his weaknesses, and pushing his body to new limits. Every sprint, every goal, every ounce of sweat felt like another triumph over the obstacles he faced. When others went home after training, he stayed behind, perfecting his shot, sharpening his moves, and reminding himself that he was living his dream. It wasn't long before his hard work paid off. Game after game, he dazzled fans and opponents alike with his speed, skill, and flair. Each goal he scored was a message to the world and to himself. He was here, he was strong, and he was unstoppable. Cristiano became more than a player, he became a symbol of resilience, an icon for anyone who had ever faced hardship and dreamed of conquering it. Cristiano's fame only grew as he moved from Manchester United to Real Madrid, where he truly cemented his status as one of the greatest players in history. At every club, in every country, he carried with him the memory of his fight, the knowledge that he was given a second chance, and he was determined to make the most of it. The young boy from Madeira, who once feared losing everything, had become one of the most celebrated athletes on the planet. As the years went on, Cristiano's achievements multiplied: titles, awards, records. But beyond the trophies, he became an inspiration for millions around the world. Fans saw his passion, his relentless work ethic, and his refusal to give up, no matter the odds. They saw that he was more than just a superstar. He was a fighter, someone who had taken life's toughest hit and emerged stronger. In interviews, He would sometimes mention his heart surgery, how close he had come to never playing again. But he rarely dwelled on it. For Cristiano, that chapter was not a source of sorrow but of strength. It was a reminder of how fragile dreams could be, and how powerful they became when you fought for them. Today, Cristiano stands as a legend, his name synonymous with greatness. And whenever he steps onto the field, there is still that flicker in his eyes, that fire that started burning back in the streets of Madeira. He knows that the journey he took, the sacrifices, the surgery, the heartbreaks, wasn't just about becoming a soccer star. It was about becoming someone who could inspire the world to believe that anything is possible. And so, as the crowd roars, as the lights shine down on the field, Cristiano Ronaldo plays not just for himself but for every child with a dream, every person who has faced setbacks, and everyone who dares to fight back. His heart may have faltered once, but his spirit never did. And that is what makes him more than just a player, it makes him a legend.